you're essentially looking for an undervalued company that has potential to go to the moon. You know?
Yeah, nowadays, everything.
Everything's to the moon.
Welcome back, everyone, to Be the Trader. Today I have a very special guest and friend, someone who has known me for quite a long time. We're a little circle of friends when we were first getting started, skidding our knees, and then he kind of just blossomed, focusing on swing trading, doing really well, and then started day trading as well full time. His name's Tyson, friend and trader. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Good, and you, man?
Loving it, loving it. Just in case you didn't know, that took a long time to get down.
We had to practice that a few times.
It did. Well, hey, look, man, I know you, but there's a lot of things I probably don't know. So I'd love for you to share with everyone what got you into trading to begin with, dude.
You know, my dad, when I was a kid, was the buy, forget, long-term investor. You know, my dad used to read the newspaper when you checked on stocks. And when I was a kid, you know, that was part of the American dream was, you know, you had a great career and you invested in your portfolio and, you know, you bought a stock and you let it ride for years. My dad still even owns stock like Qualcomm when he bought in like the 80s, 90s, you know, so it was one of those things that's originally what got me into trading.
Did you like start trading at a young age as well? Like at 16, 18, like when did you start trading?
You know, I didn't really, I had dabbled around when I was, you know, 18 or 21, 22 in the market because I was chasing my dream of becoming, you know, owning multiple car dealerships and make shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I'd met a gentleman who was trading options, long-term. He'd swing long-term options. So that's where I was like, okay, well, let me get my feet wet and learn a little bit more. And then that's where it really took off.
And so, man, when I met you, when was that in your journey?
Dude, that was like 16, 17 when we met, I want to say.
Okay,
Yeah, I was like, that's when I kind of really established on what style of trading fit my personality. It was to the point where I hated my career. I hated, like, that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to deal with the public. I didn't want to, in the car industry, I didn't want to work the crazy hours. I didn't want to, you know, I wanted to do what I wanted, when I wanted, however I wanted.
And what did you do? Because everyone's like, what did you? Like,
so I was a fixed ops director in the automotive industry.
Okay, cool. And you said you didn't want to do that anymore, so you're trying to find another way.
Correct. And
you found your niche, and it sounded like swing trading, right?
Yes. You know, ever since I was a kid, you know, 15, 16, remember the boiler room with Vin Diesel? You know, I mean, you're a young dude. You see cars, women, drugs. You know, you're like, I could do that lifestyle. You know, so it's like, count me in. So the problem was I had established a lifestyle that I was accustomed to. So I couldn't just go on a limb and say, I'm going to quit working in the auto industry and go learn how to be a trader.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out what.
You also had a family?
Yeah, I just had a kid. You know, the wife was going through nursing school. So it was like, what can I do where I'm still working and still, you know, learning how to develop a swing trade. And then, you know, that's when I had met Paul Scolardi.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know,
Superman.
Yeah. And it took off from there.
Nuts. That's crazy. And all I can say is that, like, I've always, you know, we talk often, and you'll take a lot of interesting swings that work really well, and you have your own way of swing trading, and it's like, you're always like, yo, let me show you this over here. Hey, we wouldn't be able to do these face-to-face interviews if it wasn't for our great sponsor, Cobra Trading. So if you could just give them a few seconds of your time, we'd really appreciate it. Cobra Trading is the broker for short sellers. If you're a short seller and you're looking for the best borrows and the best service in the market, look no further. It's why I use them every single day and why I'm happy to have them as a sponsor. So make sure to click on the link below to learn more about Cobra Trading. And now let's get back to the show.
I mean, but that's part of, when you do your due diligence. When I was in Scolardi's mentor program,
Yeah.
I invested, and as we talked yesterday, part of his mentorship wasn't just saying, "Hey, Paul, I'm looking at this stock." He challenged you.
Mm.
He said, "Well, what due diligence did you do that made you think that this stock is going to go where you think it is?" So, that's where I had came up with some off the wall stocks after doing some SEC filings, doing due diligence, looking at the overall economy and saying like, "Hey, this is going to be a booming market,"
Yeah. So he would challenge those,
He,
and that helped you kind of, I guess, configure what you need to focus on, what you don't.
well, it made me when you brought why you were looking at something, he was he was able to teach you. You're looking at the wrong stuff at the wrong way. So you were able to make your mistakes, but he was able to guide you in the right direction, what you should be looking at and what you should be understanding.
And so when you swing trade, are you focused on fundamentals then, or like what's your take?
Well, everything is developing a thesis in swing trading. You have to have good fundamentals. You have to have, because when you're swing trading, you're essentially looking for an undervalued company that has potential to go to the moon.
Yeah, nowadays everything.
Nowadays, everything's to the moon.
So I'm very curious, like when you met, you found a mentor and you started to, it sounded like you started to progress a little quicker then.
Correct.
Was it just the idea of someone helping you understand filings that really helped you grow, or was there a couple other things that kind of happened?
Well, when I first started learning about trading, Gary had taught me more or less how to read a chart.
Okay.
And everything
Who's
was
Gary?
Gary was the guy that taught me options.
Okay, gotcha.
And everything was based on the chart. But I knew that in trading there has to be more than looking at a chart and understanding the value of a company to say, hey, this chart, hey, look, it's a downtrend, I want to buy this. Well, why is it in a downtrend? Because typically if something's in a downtrend, there's a reason why. So that's where when I joined Paul, it was understanding filings, understanding balance sheets, understanding, what to look for in, forward statements and all your SEC stuff.
What would you say to someone who wants to like look into swing trading because they have a full-time job? They're working. Like, was it okay to be like, I'll focus on charts and start there, or should I focus on filings? Like, where should I start when it comes to maybe getting the swing trading down?
Well, when it comes to swing trading, ultimately you have to know, because you're investing quite a bit of money into it and you plan on long term. So you want to look into the filings because you want to make sure that you're investing in a healthy company.
Yeah.
That, you're not going to be getting in a company that is struggling to stay afloat. You want to look at the financials. You want to look at, hey, over the course of 5 years, where can this company be?
So what are you looking at necessarily in those filings? There's certain key areas that people should at least look into immediately if they're interested in swinging something, because maybe it's a good chart and they're like, I like this chart, this looks beautiful. What do I need to watch out for?
Well, one thing I like to look is year-over-year growth. That's going to be overall. And with that year-over-year growth is also how is the debt. To expand a business, sometimes you have to understand that they can't expand a business because it costs too much to expand it. So they're limited to where they can essentially go. So you have to understand that, like NIO. Here was a stock that last year in 2018, I was owning that in the $2 because the earnings report, they had growth. We knew the EV sector was booming. They were building new factories. We knew that they were building a factory in China. So understanding, doing that due diligence and seeing where that company is headed, that's where you're going to be finding that in the filings.
Interesting. And day trading, because I know you've been day trading a lot, and like you're focused there pretty much because now you do it full time.
Correct.
As well as swing trading. during the day, like, is there anything that you use from swing trading that you brought into day trading and that has really helped you in day trading? Or is it completely different?
I mean, it's still completely different, but you're still looking at filings, and there's times where I see a stock that I might be looking to short.
Yeah.
And then I'm digging into the filings, and I'm like, whoa, maybe I don't want to short this stock. I might want to look for a nice pullback entry to take this thing long term.
Has there been times where maybe the filings can jade someone's opinion too strong? You know what I'm saying? That's the worry. Cause
The conviction?
yeah, like what if you're too convicted that this is a good company, but it looks like a short, right? And then you're just like conflicted. I know it happens to me, so that's why.
You always have but that's why you have a standard risk.
Okay.
You know, because in trading, you're wrong all the damn time.
Yeah.
It's like being in a relationship.
Yeah.
You know how
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. And he's saying that because, I mean, it's so true. Like, that's why I love Tyson, because like I've known him for a while, and he'll be wrong on stocks, but he's doing well trading, and it's nuts. It's just cool to see that you're not right all the time.
No, you're not.
You're not, and you could be wrong back to back to back, and then just kill it. You know, it's that mental fortitude that you have to not worry about it. Like, how did you develop that way? Because someone's listening to this, like, well, I can't be wrong 3 or 4 times in a row.
You can.
And trade the next trade because I'm timid.
It's like this. Growing up playing sports, you know, I played football and everything, and you miss a tackle, you can miss the next tackle. You can miss the next tackle. But you can't let it affect the rest of your game. Baseball players, I mean, let's look at them. They usually bat 4 times in a game, and they might go 1 for 4 in that game. And it's the last at bat that they finally, they get hit the game winner.
Yep.
They'll walk off. And that is where when you have to know that, hey, I was wrong here, time to move on to the next one.
Do you feel like swing trading is a little different in terms of, do you feel like it's easier? Can you even use that word? Like, it's easier than day trading, or what do you think?
I think swing trading is 100 times easier if you do your due diligence, because until your thesis has changed, you're still in that swing. Because there's been times, and you know, you're not getting into a stock where you believe in a swing when it's ripping up. You're going to wait for the consolidation, the pullback. So therefore, you know, like, I love the 4 EMA and the 9 EMA on the daily.
That's right.
So if I'm looking at a stock and she's really overextended off the 4 and the 9, but I believe this stock is going to go, this is a great value, I'm going to wait for that pullback, and I'm going to be risking off that level. I'm not buying it when it's overextended off the 4 EMA or the 9 EMA. So it's still having the same calculated risk, but now my thesis hasn't changed that this company is still a good company.
Gotcha. And opposed to day trading, what would you say is like really different and maybe even harder when it comes to day trading from swing trading?
Day trading, you have to be right at the exact time.
What do you mean?
Because when you're swing trading, you're waiting for it to develop. You know, you're waiting for it to play out. When you're day trading, you know, if you're shorting it, you know, you're trying to hit the as high as you can. So that entry might not be the right time, so you have to bail out. And then it goes up a little higher, and you know, you'll take small paper cuts. When you're swing trading, you buy the dip, okay, my thesis hasn't changed. It took a little dip today. I'm okay. I'll ride this out. I mean, like,
as long as it hit the stop, right? Like, yeah.
As long as we haven't stopped out. I mean, like, you see my swing on XENE, my short swing. I mean, let's be real. I was down, what, 20, 30 grand?
Yeah, exactly.
And my thesis hasn't changed.
Nope.
And now I'm green on it.
Yeah, and that's nuts. He shared that with me a while back when he won it, and I was like, okay. Yeah. But you stuck to your plan.
I stuck to
my plan. You had a plan, you had a thesis, the thesis didn't change, and you waited out, never hit your stop.
Correct.
So why get out, and right now it's doing well for you, so that's awesome.
It is doing very well, you know.
And in day trading, you mentioned that it's difficult because the timing.
Well, because you got to think, inside a day, you have multiple trends in a day.
Yes.
So, you get in. It was like the trade we were talking about the other day that you took. We had a trend. It broke that trend. Even though your thesis was right, your entry was on point, but it didn't get the move you wanted
Right.
in that inner trend. When you're swing trading, you're like, I don't care all the movement and the craziness that's going on today, as long as at the end of the day it's moving in the right direction.
That makes sense. What do you think, like for you, through this whole journey so far, was the hardest part for you? Like, was there a moment where it was just like you hit a wall and you had to overcome something in trading?
Myself, the transition from when I went from working to day trading.
Yeah.
When I was working, I was getting up, getting in my entries, and I was having to get everything early before I went to work. When I got home, I was like, woo, I got all day to trade. And I overtraded. Me and Bryce, my first week, I remember there was days I was up like 3-4 grand by like 8 o'clock. And Bryce calls me and he's like, hey, how was your day? Man, I finished the day red. And he was like, what do you mean you finished red? I was like, I didn't walk away. I had hit my daily goals, and looking back at the charts at the end of the day, I was convincing myself, hey, this is a great setup, I should take this. When realistically, I was just trading in the chop. So I had to tell myself, like, hey, just because you can trade doesn't mean you have to trade.
Yeah.
And I wanted to hit home runs. I'm day trading. I'm making a killing on swing trading. Now, if I can make it on day trading, I'm going to be fucking rich. And I had to slow myself down.
Yeah. How'd you do that? You just made that decision and that's it, or
well, when you take a day where you're up 10 grand green, and you come back and you finish red 2 grand, it was like, well, that was complete stupidity.
A lot of us have all been there, I know, and it's funny. People are probably like, damn, like, yeah, that's happened to me every day. And what's interesting is you said it was after you were consistent already. So it's like when you left the job and said, I'm just not going to do this anymore. It doesn't make sense.
Correct.
And went to day trading and be home full time, that came up. And so that's interesting. So like how long did it take you? And was there anything you did, like note cards or whatever, that helped you not overtrade?
A lot of it was when I hit a certain dollar amount.
Yep.
Me and the wife went to breakfast, and I got out of the house.
Because we're in Arizona.
Yeah.
And what time is the market
Market
open?
opens 6:30 in the summertime.
6:30.
And then 7:30 in the winter, because Arizona, we don't change our time.
Yeah.
So it was getting away from my desk. It was, going and playing golf. It was just getting out of the opportunity of trading.
Yeah.
Because if you can't control yourself to sit at your desk and look at charts and not take trades, then you need to put yourself outside of the element.
Yeah, makes sense. What if you're new though, and you have some time, and you like say there's a trader who's watching and they're like brand new, they have time to be there all day, right? Maybe they don't need to work or something like that. Because there's a saying that you need screen time too. So they're like, well, Tyson, I need screen time. Like I've only been trading for 6 months, so I can't just walk away. But if I don't walk away, I'm over trading. That's difficult.
That comes self-control.
Yeah.
Because when it all comes down to it, you're not competing with me. You're not competing with any other traders out there. You're competing with yourself. And if you can't control yourself, you're going to be the person that limits how long you're in this game.
Dude, I love that. I love that a lot. Because, at the end of the day, that's so true. Like, my biggest struggles are, once you start to, see what you're good at, then you start to see that your biggest struggle is, you're just fighting your own other self.
Correct.
And it's, That is something that a lot of traders I know are facing.
Correct.
I know that for sure. Any advice to traders who, man, hey Tyson, I know my strategy, I'm doing well, but I'm still blowing up. Like I tend to have this habit of just like holding against, whenever I should be stopping out. I just can't seem to not just stop out because I'm usually right.
We did this yesterday. You know what I mean? It was, you have an exit. You can always re-enter at a different point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Sykes always says, keep your losses small because you can always recover those losses in one trade. I mean, 2 of my trades yesterday, were they not red?
Yeah.
Was I not red yesterday?
Yeah.
And they finished green.
Yep.
So it was, hey, you know what? At this moment, this trade is not working to how I want it. So let me step back, reevaluate, let me change my game plan and say, oh, here's a better entry, here's a better exit, and keep those losses small because you can never recover what you have lost, when you take a big loss.
Yeah.
And when someone says, oh, I blew up my account, how the did you blow up? Because you're trying to hit a home run. And let's be real, when people get in trading, everyone wants to make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But if you can't be consistent making 5, 10, 20 bucks a day, you can't be consistent making $1,000 a day. And that is I wish more people would learn to accept, to be happy with the small wins and make those small wins consistent than worrying about the big winner.
Do you feel like it's because that big winner just is so random? It comes up that when it hits someone and they get it, like a new trader, sometimes you'll hear those stories, a new trader who hits it big on the first couple of trades, that it prevents them, that now they're always just seeking, they're like, I need that next big winner?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you play any sports when you were younger?
Just track.
Okay. You ever win a race?
Yeah.
And what'd you want to do again?
You want to win again? Yeah.
Our endorphins are flowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
true.
remember the first time I had a huge trade, and I was like, that was amazing. And you know what happened my very next trade?
What?
I took a fat loss.
Oh.
Because you're chasing. Trading is being a successful trader is being consistent. And when you're consistent, you're gonna have singles. Cal Ripken got in the Hall of Fame by hitting singles. He didn't get in Hall of Fame by hitting a crap ton of homers. He got it by making singles and doubles. You're going to, yes, if you're a consistent trader, you will have the home run every now and then.
It's random?
It's
I guess.
random.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you get in a stock and it just works. You're like, holy crap, that went well. But if you can't be happy with a single, you're going to strike out more than you will by getting the home run.
All right.
The odds are you will strike out more than the home runs. And your time in this game will be very limited.
So it was interesting. Tyson was nice enough to invite me over and got to see him trade a little bit. And it's interesting that you'll have a thesis, right? We all have theses,
Yeah.
and you'll get in your trade and you'll cut it. But if your thesis you feel like is still correct, then you'll get back in the trade.
Correct.
For people hearing that, and maybe they heard it from others, I've seen it. So any suggestions to those people, like, should they be every trade they jump in, like they get in, are they risking their full lot every trade, or are they like thinking, okay, because I don't know if because timing is hard, how should they approach that? Like, is it take a full loss, get out, get back in later, or is it more of like sizing? Like, is there any advice around that? Does that make sense?
Well, it's all about having calculated. Until you're consistent, you should essentially have a set risk for every trade you make. If you're trading in a $30,000 account, you should not be taking a $300 to $500 loss per trade.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
What would you suggest to that person?
Realistically, my goal has always been 1% a day profit on my account size.
Yep.
And if I'm risking 1% every trade, it's not going to be pretty. So, I'm risking maybe 0.3% to up to 0.5%
Yep.
of my account. So typically, I'll risk $500 to $1,000 per trade.
Yep.
But my goal per day is 2 to 3 times that.
Yep.
So I'll take a paper cut, and then that one trade that works out, now I'm up 1% plus in my account.
Makes sense.
'Cause
So
you don't want to essentially risk more than what your daily goal is.
how would you say that the traders who are currently dealing with questioning this market and they're constantly saying like, man, I was hot in 2020 and now I'm just struggling. Like, what would you give any advice for them? Because you've been trading for a while. You traded 2020 and now you're in 2021 and you're doing well as well. So what would you give those traders in 2020 who are profitable, who are now not profitable? Any suggestions on to them?
Welcome to trading.
Yeah.
Markets change.
Yeah.
You have to be around in this game. You have to learn how to adapt. Yeah, last year you could buy the dip on anything and made a killing. Especially after the big shutdowns and everything went ripped. But now we're in a more somewhat realistic market, or we're not having such a crazy dip where everything's just running up. Now you have to be more prepared. You have to, do better due diligence on stocks that you're actually trading.
I need to ask you this, and that is, what do you think is the hardest thing for most traders who come to you and ask questions? I know you have a lot of buddies who will ask you questions, or even people online. When they ask you questions, like, what do you feel like is the hardest thing for newer traders to overcome?
The hardest thing, consistency.
Okay.
Everyone, because let's be real, every trader that is struggling lacks consistency. And they hate being wrong. And it's like, if I could go hang out with you and your spouse for a solid week, I bet you 9 out of 10 times you're wrong every day with your spouse.
Yeah.
So why when you go trade do you beat yourself up so much when you're wrong because you were wrong one time? Shit, I'm wrong all the time.
Yep.
Most successful traders, they're 55 to 70% win rate. So that means 3 to 5 times they're wrong at every 10 trades.
Yep.
So this unrealistic, I got to be right every trade, is you're beating yourself up over something that is unrealistic.
But what about the person who has like that mentality of like, I want to be successful now, like, so that's why, I can't take these losses. I got to keep going. I need to be successful, right? That person, would you say is at a disadvantage if they're just thinking in that mindset of I want to be the best, I want to grow?
Well, part of trading is self-discovery. And if you can't grow to understand that you're going to be wrong trading, you're going to struggle every day. Because every day you trade, if you can't get over the hump that you're going to be wrong, at least once or twice or 3 times when you're trading a day, you're going to have an everyday uphill battle.
Yes, you are.
You know what I mean? I mean, if you hate me, and the funny part is, my best days are when my first 2 trades are red.
That's nuts.
I mean, my best days, literally. And then the days where I come out the gate and, I'm up 4 to 10K plus, are sometimes they've been some of my worst days. Because then I get overconfident. I'm like, everything is working. And next thing you know, I'm like, looking at the chart.
It's
like,
not
that
working.
was a stupid trade. So then when, I start my day off red, I made the trade. Okay, that trade didn't work out. That trade didn't work out. You know, I've already got the strikeouts out of the way. Now, okay, let's look at the charts. Let's be a little bit more disciplined. And next thing you know, I'm back up.
Is there anything you do in your routine that has helped you get consistent or stay consistent or deal with any like losses or anything like that?
I'm always, at the end of the day, when I finish up my day, I always look at my entries, my exits. I want to see what I could have done better. Because if you're not growing as a trader, you're not reviewing how you traded, you're not going to grow either. Athletes, NFL refs, think about this. They review the calls that they made. And these are reps who, they make calls wrong all the damn time. And they still get paid. Well, the only difference is if our calls are wrong, it affects our pocketbook. So we need to, hey, could I have had a better entry? Could I have had a better exit? Review that, journal it, write down your mistakes, and make sure that your mistakes are not repeating. Because if you keep repeating the same mistake, then that needs to, you need to go in the bathroom, look at the mirror, and look at yourself and say, hey, why do I keep repeating the same mistake?
Was there a mistake you always repeated at first?
Yes.
What?
I added in the losers. I loved, because when swing trading, my thesis hasn't changed. And that was the thing. If it was holding, I would start adding, because swing trading, the thesis never changed. Well, day trading, the last thing you want to do is add in the losers. You're like, I'll add here.
Yeah.
My thesis hasn't changed. Well, so that was my biggest issue. Instead of cutting it, I'll just add into it. I'll just add a little bit more. And then next thing you know, I'm taking a bigger loss than what I needed to. Instead of cutting it, looking, and then getting back into it at a different price point that had a better setup.
Nice. Well, look, man, if you could go back, like right now, to the first, like right before you started to actually get a hang of swing trading, okay? And give yourself some advice. Because you're about to go down this journey, you want to make it shorter for you maybe, you want to make it easier, whatever it may be, what would you tell yourself?
Don't sell your Tesla position. I had bought Tesla 3 years ago. It was like 360. I bought it.
Before the split.
Before the run up before the split, dude. I had sold it at like 505. And I was like, dude, and then it was literally the day or two before they sold the split, before they announced the split. And I was like, it was coming up in the all-time highs. I was like, I'm getting the hell out. And they announced the split, and I was like, it ain't gonna go that high. God. Okay, I was wrong,
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things, I would go back and tell myself. It would be, enjoy the process, don't rush it. Because when I first I was like every young guy. I wanted to make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a day. But when reality is, I first had to learn how to make $5 a day consistently.
Yep.
And then $10 consistently, because if you can't be consistent making 5, 10, 20 bucks a day, you're not going to be consistent making.
And there's a helicopter everywhere.
And there's a helicopter.
It's okay.
You're not going to make $500 to $1,000 a day.
Yep.
And be okay with the days that you have small wins, and be happy with the small losses.
I'm glad you said that, because everyone deals with that at some point in their trading. That's why we got into trading, like you said. Like, you get into trading not only because most people don't just love trading right off the bat, like you kind of fall in love with it.
Trading's boring.
Yeah.
Let's be real. It's lonely. It's
It is
boring.
lonely. Yeah, that's so true. It is so lonely, which is why you'll meet good people, you'll hang out with them, because you can't talk with just anyone about trading. Like it's just this is different because they ask you questions that you're just like, that's not what trading is. That's what's gonna go higher tomorrow, Tyson.
Exactly. Like, and then you always get some of the off the wall questions, and you're like, yeah, dude, I don't even touch blue chips. Hey, do you think Amazon's gonna go higher? I don't know. Maybe you should invest in it and see.
Yeah. Or they'll be like, hey, I think they'll come at you and say, I think Netflix is about to really go. And you're like, oh, you do? And they're like, yeah, what do you think? I'm like, I don't really know. And they're like, well, I think you should get in. I'm like, no, you get in it. And
So you want to gamble with my money?
yeah.
Nah, I'm good.
Well, look, Tyson, it was a pleasure having you on the show, brother. Where can people find out more information about you if they're like, you know what, I want to learn more about what you do or have questions about what you said?
I mean, I started the All Street Traders on YouTube. It was something that streamed live daily. People were able to ask me questions. Alex pops in.
Yeah, I do pop in.
He flirts with me every now and then. But it was, I started that, and just to kind of help people, new traders, and go from there.
It's called All Street Traders. Check him out. The link will be in the description. It's his YouTube channel. He streams on there. You just started streaming pretty much every day so far. So we'll see if he keeps it up. We'll see if he keeps now we're gonna have people being like, yo, where you at?
This dude never's on here, but like, my bad, I was bored.
And not only that, but your Twitter. What's your Twitter?
I don't know. I change it all the time.
We'll get it and then we'll share it with y'all. We'll share it with y'all.
I like flying under the radar.
Oh, maybe we won't get it. So other than that, man, hey, thanks so much for being here, brother.
Always a pleasure, brother.